First time coming into the prison, we go through the shakedown. Brother got a cell phone.
Yeah.
Brother coming in with the cell phone.
Dang.
Oops, I forgot. It is a crime to take a phone into a penal institution. You will go to jail for that. You will mess it up for
Yes.
me, for
Yes.
worthy people. I'm going in.
Yeah.
Bringing in your phone, right? So brother goes back to his car and puts his phone in the car. We going through this thing again, and I'm like, I'm sorry, he's new, oops. And they were like, okay, on alert. Brother come back in, going through the search. We get it right this time. Got a lighter in his pocket, bro. And I'm like, hold up. What's he need a lighter for? I bet it wasn't for lighting candles in his house. Why brother doing ministry and he over here with a lighter? You can attend or you can pray, but to be on the mic, there's a standard of where you need to be in your life. On the podcast, we have different types of conversations. We have Next Level with God, where we talk about getting to the next level in your life by following God and doing what he says versus what the world tells us to do to get ahead. But this conversation that we have today with some multiple guests is one that's been a long time coming. It's one that we have been affiliated with their ministry in working with people coming into the prisons with us. You have probably seen some of them already in the past. And so we're glad to be able to sit here and have this conversation today. And we have an exciting announcement too that you don't want to miss. So just stay tuned, stay plugged in. Tell your cellie, get your coffee poured up because we're going to go there and have this conversation. So let me introduce my guests today at the table. We're maxed out at this table today. we got 4 chairs going on. We'll start over here, and if you want to introduce yourself, and we'll go around the table.
I'm Tre9. Been serving God since 1994 when I gave my life to Jesus. Spent a lot of time doing Christian rap, and today I run a nonprofit organization called Eyes on Me, Inc., which has multiple mission centers across Houston. Also DTS, Disciple the Streets, which is a brotherhood of men and women committed to multiply disciples, leaders in churches, city to city, house to house. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I'm married. I have 4 kids, not young kids, but 4 kids total, and live in Houston, Texas, and love the Lord with all my heart, soul, and mind.
I think somebody told me you do music. I'm not sure. This is a rumor.
It is a creative outlet for me, so I'll do it from time to time. But when I go in the prisons, some of the guys know the songs, or some of the guys are familiar with my older music, and so I'll do it for that. But I love taking new guys in and letting them get to enjoy what I've enjoyed for 30 plus years of going into prisons.
Man, we got the OG. Who you got sitting here? Who you
My
got
name
with
is
you?
Jessica, and I work with Eyes on Me, and I've been a part of Eyes on Me for about 3 years. And I mentor at-risk youth. I also have a son that's in the ministry, Lil J. Mm-hmm. And I've been a believer for about, I don't know, since I was 17. But I haven't been fully surrendered surrendered to Christ for about 3 years now. So I'm all in. I love Jesus. I love his people. I love prison ministry. I've done some prison ministry with Cody and Worthy People. And I'm just thankful to be here at this table.
And who we got here?
So my name is Austin Lanier, originally from Newport News, Virginia, but Houston has been my home for, I'd say, the past 8 to 9 years. I started off my journey in ministry as a music artist, wanting to, honestly, I would find out years later, pursuing fame more than I even realized, wanting a name for myself. And then I ran into Tre9, and he was able to really just show me what it was like to live out ministry on chasing the one and doing it just for the one and not for the big numbers and stuff. So learning what real ministry and discipleship was life-changing. So I started getting plugged into the ministry probably about 9 years ago. He's been discipling me. It's been a journey. I transitioned from just focusing on music to also focusing on schools as a motivational speaker. And so God has opened up some really cool doors for me to go and be able to like be the light in some of the most darkest places like our public school systems, and then also the communities that we work in. I'm involved in our mission centers as a, mentor to the youth. And so just trying to walk out my God-given purpose, man.
He's heavily plugged into Greenspoint, and a lot of times it's easy to get artists to hit a studio, to do a prison show, to show up for a church concert, do an outreach, but it's hard to get artists to focus on mentoring and discipling, whether you're mentoring kids or discipling adults on a consistent basis.
And who's discipling you?
And who's discipling
that's
you?
a whole other thing right there.
Yeah.
Who's discipling and mentoring you? And I wanted to say too, before we even got going here today, is just the longevity that you have had in doing ministry, because there's a lot of overnight ministries.
Absolutely.
There's people that get into this, they see, popularity, music platforms and money or whatever brings them to it, and they kind of fade out quickly. And so when somebody asks me, man, what's your goal? Is your goal to be able to achieve a certain thing within the ministry? We're reaching so many people or numbers or anything like that. And I said, I look up to the people that have been going 20, 25, 30 years, because you got to be armored up to do ministry, and ministry's messy and people can be messy. So that's just a testimony to your work and mission and team is making an impact.
We were talking on the way up here, on the drive up here, about the lure of crowds and people or fame or money. You can lose sight of Jesus really quickly, but we all are battling our flesh.
Yeah, every day.
And some men, whether it's a pastor, leader, rapper, singer, praise and worship leader, they almost set themselves up high and mighty to be without sin and perfect. The people follow because people are looking for leaders. And you start following these leaders, they're going to do it with you. And the leaders never give people the impression like, hey, don't follow me, follow him. I'm a man, I'm fallible.
I tell them that in the prison all the time. I said, if you following me, I'm gonna disappoint you.
If I fail, I don't want them to turn away from Jesus.
Yeah.
The good shepherd, the shepherd that never fails.
Man, how'd y'all get linked up with Tre9 and DTS? And
Want to go first?
Sure. I like to volunteer. So I would go downtown and volunteer at the shelters. And I was just going to church and I just wanted to serve. So I was praying to God, give me a community, give me new friends, put new people in my path that have the same beliefs as me. And he came up to me. He came up to my son and was playing games with my son. And I was like, I'm going to go volunteer and just check it out. And then I went and he connected me with Rolana, who has discipled me, and Trey. And so I've literally been watching him walk this thing out and understand he's a human and he's not perfect. And so I see him as my mentor. And I've been around for 3 years now.
Man, and Austin, I want to say I saw on social media a picture of you with a Lamborghini or a Maserati. So you just drove up that's how you met Tre9. You just
you might have seen a video of a anti-bully gang. Is that what?
That's
it
what it
was just a picture. Yeah, it's just maybe you did a video shoot and the car was in it or something.
But nah, man. So I was sleeping on a futon in a studio, and Tre9 walked in there to record with the engineer. I think I might have helped out helped out with some melodies on the track. And he's like, "Hey, man, who are you? What you doing out here? Anybody discipling you?" And I was like, "Nah." And I was very standoffish to the discipleship. I was like, man, what are you trying to...
That word is foreign nowadays, in today's
Yeah.
culture and Christian culture.
For
They're
sure.
What do you mean?
Well, if you're used to transactional relationships, the natural thought is, what do you want from me? What is your hidden motive? And that's a trauma mindset that I had from just my past. And so when I got Trey, who's just genuinely, I know it's a God thing because he doesn't have a lack of people trying to get his time and, stuff. And so like for him to kind of be like, yo, I want to disciple you. Like, what's up? He was kind of pursuing me a little bit, but I was kind of standoffish. But then I ended up sitting down with him at a restaurant and I just laid it all out there, man. I'm suicidal. I'm dealing with addiction. I'm running through women. I'm at the end of myself. And he's like, well, you want to commit 3 months of your life to me? And if it's not better by the end of the 3 months, we'll dap each other up and slide. And that was probably about 8 years ago and haven't looked back since. And
It's great when you do raise up people who get mature, because the whole goal is not that you sit under me for the rest of your life and I control you like a puppet. It's that you become a disciple that I can now funnel people. Hey, let Jessica disciple you. Let Austin disciple you. And that's multiplication versus addition. We always talk about multiplying disciples, not trying to add people to me because I can either speak or I'm a leader. It's I want to raise up disciples who will in turn raise up disciples who will in turn raise up disciples. An addition model would be, hey, y'all go get more people to join my club. Go get more people to be in DTS. Go get more people to join Eyes on Me. Or let's start a church and get more people to listen to me speak. Like that, I don't even see that as a biblical model. Jesus spoke to 5,000 and he hit the road, kept it moving, taught his disciples how to maneuver in hard places and deal with Pharisees and Sadducees and the broken, the lost, the lepers, the demonic. And that's kind of what DTS does.
Your podcast just came out and you're a co-host, right?
I am.
On the podcast. And the name of your podcast is called Somethin Ain't Right.
Yeah.
Something ain't right. So the title got to me because I was, I believe like a lot of us think it, but then we're like, man, we can't say that.
So I had in my heart for maybe 4 or 5 years now doing some type of podcast, but never had the time. Jessica and talked about doing a podcast within the last year or two, but just never happened. Now, Whiteout, the other co-host, he ran a podcast called Let's Chop It Up. So as far as, it kind of came together at the right timing to launch this year. But the concept of Something Ain't Right is we're always behind the scenes talking about things that we see happening around us, but publicly we're afraid to say it because it might make Christians look bad or it might make the gospel look bad. But the reality is we're talking about this stuff anyway behind closed doors. So whether it's a failure of a major Christian or whether it's asking Seven about the use of the N-word in his raps, or whether it's asking Brian T about, how he swags out and dresses in expensive jewelry and stuff, or whatever it is, these are things that typically you don't go public with because you don't want anybody to look bad. And so we give people an opportunity. We just wanted to do something that would engage us, keep my attention, and we cut up a lot anyway together. And so it's like, how can we cut up on a show, have purpose, have meaning, but at the same time engage in something that maybe don't exist? And that's how the idea of Something Ain't Right came up, is like, let's just talk about the stuff that maybe people see that don't look right. Well, let's find out if it is right or if it isn't. And that's how it came up. So I think it's enough to hold my attention, to keep me involved, which is, pretty important. And I also think it's something people want to hear. And it's a space that we really aren't covering in Christianity. And let me just say this, that it was created really for the free world, not for the prisons. And so it's not a prison show, technically. There will be topics that I think they'll find engaging. There may be topics that you decide, hey, man, that one we're not going to air in the prison. But the way it came about to now be in the prisons is because of this man right here, Brian Trejo, telling Cody, hey, take a look at this and consider putting it out through your podcast. And I just, I'm just appalled that another podcast that already has the platform would be willing to put out another podcast. That shows that we're not in competition. We're complementing one another.
Come on.
Yeah.
And for you to do that, I'd like to ask you, why would you be willing to put our podcast on your network? Just why would you be willing to do that?
Yeah. You flipped the script. Now you're the host.
Shout out to Brian Trejo, though, for making that connection, because that was awesome.
And we'd already talked before. We'd already had each other's numbers and stuff as well. He just brought to my attention that you guys had the podcast. But to answer your question, keyword is your. You said, why would you do this to your platform, your podcast, your network? And I always say this, it's not mine. This isn't my podcast. This is God's podcast, and I know that sounds cliche, like, oh yeah, God is in control of everything.
Everybody says that.
Yeah. And so I've realized that I don't have anything that I have because of me. It's
That's
all
good.
because of Him.
Amen.
And so there are people that come within the ministry and they're like, man, I got a story to tell. I got a testimony. Like, when are you going to put me on the podcast? And, and I've had people serve with us as long as 2 years until they shared a testimony on this podcast. And it's not to punish them. It's not because they're not good enough. But I literally have to pray and the Holy Spirit give me the green light to do this on the podcast. So everyone that you see on the podcast, it's not just random, ran into some dude. Oh yeah, we're looking for people to talk to. So we just got to put out an episode. So anyone will do. We pray about it. And there's people that have been scheduled to come here that then the Lord was like, nah. I love what my pastor says. He says that, when God speaks to you, He tells you go slow or no. And slow is just not now. And so there's been some that have been slow that it's like, okay, they need to work on some things, because the Bible tells us not many of you should become ministers, because you'll be held to a higher standard of accountability. And so
why us?
Yeah.
Why are you allowing us?
Yeah, basically, other than that is that I am a former inmate. I did 5 years, and so I'm here to be a hero for inmates. And it's like we just started showing movies, Christian movies, once a week. People, for our guys like on death row and in SEG, they don't get movies, they don't get TV. And these movies cost a lot of money. And if we need a lot of money to operate this ministry that we don't have, and we could be using those resources instead of doing movies to help ourselves. But and I'm not saying this to brag, but it's just with this, it's kind of the same thing. It's like I'm here for the underdog, for the hero, for the inmate that I once was. Sitting in SEG, and limited resources and people, like, I'm there for them. And so seeing your podcast, Something Ain't Right, in prison, there can be a lot of gossip and negativity, but there can be a lot of people that just talk because they got a lot of time, and so they talk about these topics that maybe we're not talking about a lot in our podcast. If it's my wife and I, we talking about life, we talking about ministry. Most people are sharing their testimony, and we're sharing music. And we did the hot topic talk, which is answering those questions like, what do you think about this more? And they've loved that. So y'all are like a hot topic talk every episode, because y'all are talking about hot topics, that people want to know about. And so I was like, man, y'all are addressing things that we aren't every podcast that people are going to want to know. And so
we get to compliment each other.
I tell people sometimes, and I've told Brian this before, I'm like, Brian, you're cool, your music's cool, but I share stuff for them, not really for you. You're a cool dude, but if I never saw you again, I'd be all right. That sounds mean, but I mean, you guys the same way. It's like, I'm doing it really, even for them that are watching, the more than for you guys specifically.
But it's still, a lot of people might not know, me being 30 years in Christendom, from ministries to businesses to churches to, it's unfortunately, it's rare. I've had to provide, through platforms and things God has given me, many opportunities for many people, many businesses, launched other ministries. I mean, even under our nonprofit, we've launched other nonprofits because God put a vision in a person's heart to start a transition home, and they don't know how to get there. Or he wants to do school assemblies professionally and organize it, but I don't have all the business structure behind it. And we don't have a problem if he excels beyond us, if they excel beyond us. It's just, you don't even have that in your heart when you're Christian. But I've seen in Christendom, it's very rare that someone, would say, hey, bro, just use our platform, bro. We're not worried about it. We don't care. I mean, we've got it. We're already doing it. We've been doing it. And so it's a real problem that extending the invitation to where I don't have to, because ultimately, I could go do the legwork, I could find the contacts, pay the money, whatever it takes. But why, when you've done that, why don't I just support financially what you're doing, since you're now benefiting us? And I could keep doing what we're doing in the streets and in the mission centers. And we're like
and
a
that's
team.
what kingdom is.
We're
That's
family.
a catchphrase in the Christian culture. Kingdom, keeping it kingdom.
That's right. But people
that's
ain't
what
really
it
about
is.
that.
Yeah. They're just about their organization and their
Their
people
ministry.
and their ministry. And so
So
that's
common.
the definition of kingdom. And I got to make this plug too, is that in the prisons, Pando, First Christian app, God Behind Bars, puts this out. And without them, there'd be no worthy people.
It's crazy, right?
And so I thank God for their platform, the inmates to have tablets and do that. And so
You're partnering.
I think that this podcast that you guys are doing, to be able to share it. I mean, and another thing too, I talked about, you're not doing weekly podcasts like we are,
Couple
you're
times a
doing a
month.
couple times a month. And so it's easier to do than like, okay, this is coming out every week. And
Yes.
so I'm looking forward to the conversations that happen out of it. You're going to start getting letters, man. I saw you on the episode. So we actually wanted to come on here to you guys because I respect everyone watching this as the audience and say, hey, we're forming this partnership with Tre9, DTS, and their podcast. And that kind of sets me up for the segue into the next conversation. So I'm going to... Your podcast is called Somethin Ain't Right. So can we have a Worthy People Somethin Ain't Right edition
Heck yeah.
right now?
Heck yeah.
So I want to tap into that Somethin Ain't Right.
It's got to be Jessica that something ain't right. 'Cause Jessica's been the...
We don't want to give up the first episode. No. Something ain't right that I want to talk about is that our relationship with DTS and you guys are majority ministry as far as is out here on the outside, and y'all are doing so much more. You said everything at the beginning of what y'all are doing, that of course we're not doing. That's what's so good about the body of Christ. Some is the arm, some's the leg, and I told one brother, you're just a pinky toe, but then he Googled that, and you can't stand without a pinky toe.
You ain't got no
So I
balance.
try to make him feel insignificant.
good.
He's like, well, you can't even stand
That's
up without.
hilarious.
I'm like, but then you make us stand. I appreciate you, pinky toe.
man.
So something is that you were sending and working with the people in your ministry that wanted to do prison ministry, came in with us, started last year in February, all the way up kind of through June. And so we had about a 5-month stretch that almost every weekend, DTS people that you're working with and discipling that are doing music and hip hop are coming in with Worthy People. And so just like sharing platform here, it was the same thing. I might only get up there and talk 10, 15 minutes because I got all these DTS people that
Ready
want
to
them
go.
ready to rap, and they all need 20 minutes each. But
unfortunately.
but through that situation, they would always say like, they linked us up, and that's you and I really would only talk to work out different things that would come up.
Yeah, or when problems happen.
And that's our Something Ain't Right that I want to talk about
do
here
it.
today is that, so man, full disclosure, I'm going to give you what was going on in the background. So people start coming in, man, I'm with Disciple the Streets, I'm with Tre9, and we're getting discipled. And so we realized, like, after the first month, every weekend of working with probably 12 to 15 people coming in from your organization to come in with us, like, man, these people are messed up. If you're watching, not all of y'all, but some of you, if the shoe fits.
Not at this table, though.
Nobody at this table.
Oh, no, at this table, too. No.
My wife and I, we had a closed door, behind the door conversation.
Yeah.
That's what Something Ain't Right? You want to
Yes.
open that door and
Come
talk
on.
about them.
Let's
So
go.
one of the behind the door conversations, we were like, how can this organization be called Disciple when these people seem like they have no discipleship, right? And some of our guys were like, man, if such and such from DTS is going to the
I'm
prison,
not
I ain't going. And so my wife and I were like, they need to put need in front of Disciple the Streets, like, in DTS, need
Wow.
to disciple.
We need new shirts.
So, and my wife's very laid back, easygoing. So, I mean, it was nothing big, but
I got you.
people who know her know that,
She's sweet.
she was just kind of like, okay.
Taken off guard,
So
yeah.
we would have people from DTS, first time coming into the prison, we go through the shakedown. Brother got a cell phone.
Yeah.
Brother coming in with the cell phone.
Dang.
Oops, I forgot.
I forgot.
It is a crime
Yes.
to take a phone into a penal institution. Like, you will go to jail for that. And you will mess it up for
Yes.
me, for
Yes.
worthy people. I'm going in,
Yeah.
bringing in your phone, right? So brother goes back to his car and puts his phone in the car. We going through this thing again, and I'm like, I'm sorry, he's new, oops. And they were like, okay, on alert, like, was he trying to do that? And I knew he wasn't trying. He just, whatever. We got to the WIN unit at 6 a.m. and
Just
he
had it on
worked
you.
the night before to 1 a.m. and he's tired, Oh, man. I mean, we always have our phones. So
sure.
Yeah.
brother come back in, going through the search. We get it right this time. Got a lighter in his pocket, bro. And I'm like, hold up. What's he need a lighter for? I bet it wasn't for lighting candles in his house.
Yeah.
Why brother doing ministry and he over here with a lighter, And then it's the whole judgmental, like, well, how's he? I mean,
Yes.
we're not allowed to have platform or I mean, I'll take guys in that we're discipling that are, working on things and say, hey, you can attend or you can pray, but to like be on the mic, there's a standard of of where you need to be in your life, not because it's the worthy people standard, because it's God's standard. So, they were like, how are you letting them in? And so there was all this arguing going on. And what I saw happen before my eyes the first few weeks is like Jesus and the disciples.
Yeah.
And y'all have The Chosen on your tablet. Most everybody watching this, you've seen The Chosen. The Chosen does a good job to put those situations and
Conflicts,
fights and problems and conflicts with Jesus and his disciples on display, and you can see it. And I think it was in season 4, you see a part where you've got Peter. He don't talk to Matthew. He got a problem with Matthew because Matthew was a tax collector, and back in season 1, Matthew tried to take Peter's land.
That's right.
And Peter, 4 seasons later, still feels some type of way, even though they're out there healing and ministry. Like,
holding a grudge.
So Jesus in The Chosen brought him and said, hey, you got to forgive him. Yeah. Hey, you can't walk like this. And so with the DTS people coming in, we'd say, well, I don't like this dude and I don't like that dude. And so I realized, and I told my wife, I said, disciple the streets doesn't mean they're discipled. It means they're in a progress of like, look at Jesus's disciples as an example. He took 12 people nobody would have taken and changed the world per Matthew West song.
That's right.
Took 12 outsiders nobody would have wanted to change the world. And I'm like, it's easy to take the polished people.
That's right.
Like our brother Austin here.
Yeah.
He's polished. He can sing. I mean, he might be able to do it now.
Far from the truth.
But
Far from polished.
like the church way, we're taught like if you're doing ministry, you look a certain way. And so to take all these people that nobody else would want and take time on, and that's what we try to do as well. And I'm like, hey, they're not disciple the street because they got it right. They are in active discipleship.
That's right.
And so
That's awesome.
actually had to take on discipling
awesome.
some of these guys
Praise God.
coming in because I'm like, oh no, so something ain't right.
Yeah, about that.
Something ain't right that your DTS and these. So what would you say to someone who's like, yeah, they got the DTS step
Logo.
on them,
They got the
and
shirt,
there was times where people were coming in and they were fighting and they were like, man, this brother right here, we were at an outreach and he forgot to record someone performing and they started getting into a fight
Took
in
it
front
as
of
a
the
slight,
people we were ministering. And so we don't talk to them and I'm not coming, and I'm like, Jesus, I see why you said, how much longer must I be with you?
Yes.
Because these people driving me crazy.
That's right.
So, but I feel like a lot of times we reject them people. We throw them away like, nah, they got too much baggage, too much problem. So
I want y'all to speak on this first, but I want to say this. I'm glad you're pointing it out, because when those people see the podcast, they'll understand the reason why you can't behave like that, or you can't do those things and claim, because a lot of people will. I mean, I hear people say, I'm KMF, and they really ain't. They just kind of bought the chain, or maybe they bought the shirt.
Yeah,
so I take it with a grain of salt.
That.
Yeah.
Like, people just buying the chain. Yeah.
And so there are people that went through our 10-week training and came to the initiation and said, I want to be on mission with y'all. And okay, what do you want to do? I want to do prison ministry. Okay, well, that's a safe space to go in, because those guys in prison, they snuff you out real quick. They know if you're, but I'm okay with working with people who are in the process. As a matter of fact, the harvest is plentiful, the laborers are few, is very true in our ministry, because it's hard to find people that are going to go the extra mile with people who don't trust you, people who have father wounds, people who have been adopted, abandoned, foster home, foster care, prison, juvie,
Abused.
Abused, neglected, some women raped, molested, and you think they're going to plug into church and all of a sudden sing the same songs, read the same way you read, pray the way you pray, walk the path that you've been walking, 30 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever you're at as a leader. And so I'm okay with taking a hit for Jessica. If Jessica goes and messes up, I'm okay with you saying, oh, that ministry ain't about nothing. They look at that. Like, I'm okay with that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Let us be the misfit. Let us be the outcast. Let us be, because
that's what they told Jesus. The religious people, they said because of the people, his disciples, they didn't want nothing to do with him.
I mean, expect it. Just expect it from us. Like, we are not perfect. The people we work with, I have new people coming in. Like, we baptized a brother this week. He's new.
Did 13 years.
He did 13 years. He just got out. He's tatted up. I don't know what he's really going to do in the long haul. I just know right now he's humble. He's at a place of vulnerability, and I don't want the wolves to get to him. So I come in like a shepherd to the sheep, saying, "Hey, we're going to walk with you, bro."
Yeah.
But am I going to put him on stage right away? No. I've learned some things over time that you just can't do. But I had to learn that early on, 10, 15 years ago, walking with some really hard dudes who were preaching right, talking right, testifying right. Heart was in the right place, but Satan pulled a little stronger and ended up getting them caught up. And people criticized me like, oh, you had them dudes on, you put them dudes up there on a pedestal. I'm like, well, shoot, their heart was right. I can't get church people to get out here with us. I can't get folks that have been discipled for 15 years in a church to come out to the streets. I can't get them to answer the phone at 2 a.m. I can't get them to visit the guy one-on-one in prison, answer the call from the guy. I can't get them to write the letter back. I can't get them to go out and suffer for righteousness' sake. So who you think I'm supposed to work
like the
with?
prodigal son. Like, he was one day of like going back to his father's house and got the finest robe, the fatted calf.
Yeah.
I mean, his other brother got mad, like, man, you ain't ever done that for me. And he's been out here living this crazy life. I mean, so
That's what I mean by don't try to establish your ministry to look so squeaky clean in public because you want to keep elevating. Like, decrease, let Christ increase. And so it's okay being amongst the hard, the lowly, the forgotten, the outcasts, because that's where Jesus ran.
Yes.
He ran to those in need. So y'all say something about it, man.
Yeah, I agree. I've been here for 3 years, and discipleship is like a game changer for me. I love all people at all walks of life, and I see it as like, I saw that in him, and I went to a mega church and then a smaller church, and nobody has ever corrected me in love. Nobody has ever sat down and said, hey, let me walk with you. Let me show you, Jesus's love for people and, how to conduct yourself as a woman of God now.
In spite of anything. I don't care what she does.
yeah.
I don't care what she does.
Yeah.
I'm gonna love first. Yeah, love disciplines and it corrects.
Yeah.
But I want the best for you. I don't want to feel like you sinned? Well, do you love Jesus even?
Yeah.
Are you sure you're really committed to this?
I think people say they have the DTS stamp, but they're acting like this. But then I feel like, what's God look at you? I mean, you got his stamp and
Yeah, and
you're
you're-
out here
that's
doing
right.
what you do. I mean, and you make mistakes.
The Pharisees
And so-
had the God stamp. You
Yeah.
know, they were the ones that everybody looked to connect with God, and brought their tithes to that storehouse. And what was Jesus' response to them? I mean, they ultimately were aiming to kill him. Because
because it didn't fit the
mold, the
religious
narrative.
mold,
Yeah.
and
hopefully
Yeah.
we can break that.
And what have y'all seen in being a part of DTS? I mean, I'm sure y'all probably got some crazy stories, with people that have made mistakes, but y'all kept working with them because most of the time the church and people will give up on people. And sometimes, and when I say church, it's just because they don't have the people to do these things. They have limited resources and things, but so many times people make mistakes, 7, 8, 9 times and would have gotten thrown off, but then you've seen them bounce back. And be successes that maybe they wouldn't have been. I mean, do y'all have any stories of people you can think of that have come into DTS and that you kept working with and had to be patient with, and that you see? I mean, y'all are probably
All of
us. Y'all are like me, but other people that have gotten it right to someone watching, like, man, that model doesn't work. None of them people ever get it together.
Yeah, so watching Tre, I mean, I spent a year living with Tre, just watching him as a father, as a husband, watching as a minister, people coming in, always having an open house to house people. I mean, I've seen people that have completely burnt Tre, like stolen stuff, taking advantage, like just some real shiesty stuff. And I think myself and everyone else around Tre is often mind blown on his levels of grace that he gives for people. Like, I have more of a tendency, like, man, if you did this, like, you cut off, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I'm done with you, And I've watched Tre been burned in incredible ways and still not, like, just be quick to cut people off. And so I think when you allow people to tie their own rope instead of cutting them off, you're exposing them to a level of love and grace that they've probably never seen before. So throughout the years, I've just seen countless guys that might disappear for years, but because he was open and loving and didn't just burn the bridge and just cut them while they were down, they might come back years later. And I just think it's better for someone to have that opportunity and open door, even if you did the worst thing and you were so shiesty and manipulative, but you really still have nothing bad to say per se about, like, the way that, hopefully you come to a place of humility to say, you know what, I tied my own noose on that. Like, it was really me. But I think a lot of people are used to just being victims and victim mentalities. And it's like we have to learn to look in the mirror and realize how broken we are. So I can just think of countless guys that still come around from time to time. I'm like, oh, wow, I ain't seen him in years, but the fact that they feel comfortable enough to still come back around, I think that shows a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if a ministry or church or something said, hey, you did this, don't ever come back. I mean, I've heard that, a lot, and people tell me that. What about you, Jessica? Any stories you've seen people that people would have given up on that? And the reason why I'm asking, I'm trying to establish, like, something ain't right that these DTS people are making mistakes. But trying to show that how y'all aren't disciple of the streets because you're saying these are people fully discipled.
Yeah.
It's something active, and that by not giving up on people, how you see them come around eventually. It's not always, even the people coming in the prisons with us, it's not always bad, just because they're taking a while to get it.
Yeah. I mean, I put myself out there. I think I've been a case where he could have easily said, like, you don't dress like a Christian woman. You're not talking like a Christian woman. Or, like, he could have sat me down or said, you can't mentor the youth anymore. But ultimately, he's never given up. But really, God's never given up on me. And I believe that it's the closer we want to get to God and the accountability, it's here if you want it. But if you don't want people in your life knowing your business or putting yourself out there, you're not going to grow. So for me, it's like, hey, I'm going to put it out there. This is me. and just help me, like I'll be like, Trey, what you think about this situation? I feel this type of way. I want to tell her this. And he's like, well, let's talk through it, like represent yourself like Christ would. And ultimately it's the conviction in my heart that's like, I hear him in the back of my head, but really it's like Jesus talking to me, telling me like, hey, like don't do that or conduct yourself differently. And remember that these young girls are looking up to you. So that's what I keep. It would be me.
That's what we want is the Holy Spirit to convict them, not me.
Yeah.
And I think too many times in a church structure, you're trying to be the convictor in chief. And the Holy Spirit, when people are, can I just use you for example? Because I could use everything from dudes hurting other people, robbing other people. I mean, it gets deep, the things that I know about people that nobody else knows, because they feel, I mean, almost like a counselor, you confide in in someone, I can't let these things out, right? But knowing what I know about some people, you could easily shun them and push them away. Well, who are they going to confess to next? Who's really going to help the person get over the thing they're struggling with if everything scares off the Christian guy, If everything causes the Christian guy who I thought I could trust to judge me. And I know that on the opposite end, the people become victims, like Austin said, and they can fall into a victim mindset where, everybody's judging me, or that's not going to heal anybody.
Yeah.
But how do you get people who have been hurt, used, they have trust issues, to repeatedly come to you with their sin and their failures? That's only done through consistent love through the failures. And so if Austin wiles out tomorrow or Jessica does something out of character, I'm not looking for a reason to sit her down and, take her out of ministry. I'm looking for a way to walk forward so that we can continue to do what we're doing, which is reaching others. Because ultimately we have a lack of people going out making disciples, going out proclaiming the gospel, going out baptizing. We have a lack of people. So if it takes a bunch of imperfect people to get some movement in the church body, to get some people saved, then I'm going to roll with them. Those people that are struggling the most. Don't hear me knocking the people who, have graduated seminary and they've been ordained, or they've got a degree in theology, or they're head of a church. I'm not knocking that. We need that. That's healthy. It helps a lot of people. I'm a product of getting saved in a small black church in Greenspoint. So I don't have anything against organized religion except when it isn't moving. And so I think what God showed me early on was, you work amongst the manure, you'll find good soil. And so I'm in the middle of all the manure.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's heavy on me, but I also have a strong wife behind me who deals with health issues, so you don't see her out here a lot with me, but she can go there with me. I can go to her and say, hey, so-and-so relapse, are they playing games with me? Babe, you get on the phone with them and help me figure this out, being a former addict, being a former girl in the streets, And so I have that behind me to help me. And I think a lot of men probably don't have that. They probably have to check out at a certain point.
Yeah.
And I don't really have to check out. I can stay in it.
Yeah.
But some of the things you experience, going back to that, with guys going to prison with you and then you discover, man, this guy got a pride issue out this world. Sometimes I like that because I want them to hear it from you. I want them to see, hey, bro, I've been telling you about this. You think I'm tripping. I'm trying to hold your platform back. I'm trying to keep you from being the rapper you want to be. But why is he saying it now?
Yeah.
And then they go, man, you have been saying that. So we're tag teaming now. We're discipling.
So did you see that happening with some guys that
absolutely.
I was telling things to, that they would come back man?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I had to talk to him about that. Well, tell me what you did. And then I get, I already know, because I already know their character.
Trey would have been like, oh, really, them? They did that?
Yeah, he's not surprised.
I'm not surprised at all.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, anytime we would talk and I would say, man, And so it got to a conversation at one point where it was this is a liability for worthy people.
Yep.
We're going to get in trouble. We're not going to be welcome into certain spaces. And, like I said, I just kept seeing Jesus and the disciples all over it.
That's awesome of you.
And I saw, in the Bible, we see Peter lied 3 times that he knew Jesus after 3 years.
Yes.
3 years of seeing
being
people
in the most
raised
holy
from the
presence
dead, like blind seeing miracles, and 3 years said no. When Jesus showed up. To Peter, he's like, I want to use you to build my church.
Yeah. And do you love me?
So this is real gospel. And so anybody, any ministry, any whatever that says throw that person away because they don't meet my standard, it's like, where do you see that with Jesus?
Can I say this though as a stipulation? There have been a handful of people that I've had to completely cut off, like
for sure,
like the passage where it says bring them before the church, and if they still don't repent, expel them. There have been those situations where the hurt has been so real that it's like, okay, I have to be done with you. But to get to that point is a lot of steps.
Yeah, I tell people, if you make mistakes and you're doing wrong and you come to me, that's one thing. But it's a whole nother level of evil if you come after me and my family.
For sure.
And you start messing with me, my family, or you start running, calling and trying to cause division with people that I know. Slander. I mean, and we've talked about this, and I know we've been talking for a while. We probably talk all day, but
we could.
Out of that too, something ain't right, It's like we had 4 people from DTS coming in with Worthy People. We've had 4 total, but 3 that came in just for a brief time of a month or a few months, and then was like, I'm starting my own ministry. And then they were like, I see Cody doing it. I see Worthy People. I can do it. But when you talk to them, it's all about me, my platform, my thing, and it's like, well, if God's called you to it, we're already doing it, and we need people, help. And not that we need people, because we could be us 4 and no more and not have to deal with the level of problems it is with discipling people and taking in all these volunteers. It becomes more of a liability than anything, but it's what God's called us to do. But it's like a whole other thing that we've seen these individuals.
The immaturity.
And it's just a sign that they don't want to be discipled, because they don't want a covering. They don't want leadership. They don't want, they want to do their own thing.
That's right.
And so.
And they might have been attracted to us for the platform we have.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give you a chance. I'm going to give you a shot.
And they know that. They know that they're going to be welcomed with non-judgmental open arms. And I think, I've heard typical churches say, remember, we are not like a group of people that have it all together. We are a hospital for the broken and the sick. And I think that's what a ministry should be, is a place where broken people feel welcome. Those same broken people can have, hidden agendas motives that will end up coming to the light, but we would be wrong to try to close the doors on the same broken people that Jesus spent the time around, that Jesus used,
that we once were,
and low key some still are,
process being sanctified.
Still are constantly. And so, just even the fact that the doors are open for those broken people, they will filter themselves out.
They will.
It takes years. I mean, you saying 8 years rolling with this guy. Before I started our first church, stepped into being a pastor, doing prison ministry, I was being discipled in church with the pastor, Bible study stuff. I mean, it took me 6 years to go into a prison. And people say, why so long? And it's like, I was like David on the backside of his daddy's farm in the shepherd field. I was learning how to defeat the lion and the bear. So because in ministry, you're going to come up against some Goliaths.
Yeah, for sure.
And I tell people, there's protection in numbers. There's protection in a covering. People are part of DTS that have removed themselves.
That's right.
And I told you one time, I said, look, Trey, I don't want you to think that we're trying to gear these people up to leave your ministry, because they come with Worthy People, and then they start in their own thing. Man, what's he going to think? And they would see all the wrong things, the people, the attention, the platform. And I can tell you that all of them people, to my knowledge, are not doing any ministry today. They're not doing anything. It's like, they had an ability to do that, but it came with self.
But how do you?
Something ain't right about that.
Right, but how are they going to learn unless they walk through that. Like, I know that. I learned that stuff very early on.
Yeah.
I didn't have to bump my head in order to catch some of it, just because I was raised in a very stable home with a mother and a father that loved me. Even though it was a hood, it was very stable home and environment. Some of the people we're dealing with, they need to bump their heads in ministry. It's a whole new culture being in Christianity versus street culture or prison culture. And you got to unlearn things, but you think coming into it, and I'll tell you, one of the biggest mistakes guys in prison make is you come into Christianity and you think you got to put on this game face of I'm good. I've been reading my Bible for 20 years. Man, I was in there teaching a class. I'm thinking, oh, he talks the right lingo. He's a little more mature than maybe most guys who are just coming in. Man, I just gave my life to Jesus. And then those would be some of the main ones that fall victim to pride. Oh, I could start my own ministry. Oh, he's holding me back. He won't let me go to the prisons because he's trying to hold me back. And you get, like, you're going to get hit from every direction, but I'm going to take the chance on you. I'm going to take the risk. And if it comes at the risk of worthy people going, man, I ain't mess with them DTS people no more, then I'm willing to run that risk because I got enough to do.
And for the record, we never said that.
No, you never did.
For the record,
right?
If you're DTS, you're still welcome.
Yeah,
we just gonna keep a little more.
Well, I could send some, could send some more seasoned people, but I'm glad that you can navigate and see Jesus in it.
Yeah,
even though it's messy, I think ministry is very messy, and I'm just. We're going to get in the mess, if it costs us our life because we've laid down our own lives. But I also have a standard. I do have a standard with some things that, okay, you're not able to walk in this realm, but you can continue to go do this with, like, those people. You need to go in with me. I can't release you now to go in with another ministry because now you've shown that you can't handle that. So let's just dial it back. And that would be the only way that I would do it again.
And we never looked at you or your organization like anything, right? Because we deal with those same things, whether people imperfect or volunteers we going in, we're dealing with those same things. I mean, we did 72 services last year. So believe me, it was not like, well, there's never any issues except So, but I think that people can have the wrong deal. Like, if they don't have it together, we're not going to have, they ain't coming in, or they can't do this with us, or unless they're on the same level we are. The Bible says the milk, right? Think about a baby. I mean, I got a 3-year-old and a newborn. And to expect my 3-year-old to know what to do and to do the right thing, like when he does something last night, he said, Dad, can I have a snack? Well, he's bedtime. No, you can't have a snack. He went to Mom, Dad says I can have a snack. And so I'm like, hey, you don't lie. That, that's bad, and this is why. Same way with being a Christian, my son's 3. I couldn't have that conversation with him at 1 or 2. I mean, he's old enough now where he can understand.
And you won't give him away now because
give up on him. You're out of the house. And so, just in closing here, can y'all give us a sneak peek of what they are going to be seeing on Something Ain't Right podcast? What do y'all got in the pipeline that's coming? Do y'all want to?
So the first episode, we have 5 so far. The first episode is me putting myself and my own vulnerabilities out there.
And Lorenzo,
and shout out to Lorenzo. He wasn't able to make it, but he's an amazing man of God, a missionary.
Is that Whiteout?
Yeah, that's Lorenzo Whiteout. And so we put him and myself out there, right? And we talk about modesty. And I thought it was really good. We got a lot of good feedback on it. So I'm excited for the women.
We challenged her really good.
Kudos to you to allow the first episode to be,
I'm like, come on with it.
To
try to rip you apart. Let's go. Wow, not everybody's going to be down for that. So.
I'm excited for the women to see that.
Yeah.
And then we have episode 2 which is putting Tre9 in the hot seat about, hey, something ain't right with you.
Oh no,
You know?
I ain't coming to y'all's podcast. Don't have me as a guest.
We're waiting on the right
Gonna
scandal.
do some dirt.
Oh,
Waiting on the right
wow.
scandal. When we hear some stuff about worthy people. Matter of fact, I do know some stuff I could.
Oh, wow.
Write it down. Take a note.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh, I already
I
got
called you
this
out
right here.
on this podcast.
Yes.
Dang,
It's
man.
right here. I got you right here.
Oh man, yeah,
That
something ain't
would be
right.
a good episode.
I got it. I got it.
We're in a prison every month for prison ministry. We're doing death row prison ministry at Polunsky every other month, every Wednesday on a weekday. So I'm gonna be driving through Houston during the
Come
week
on.
every week.
Come
Oh yeah, we're gonna pull you in.
Bring
man.
Yeah.
Julia with you.
Well, if I can, my baby mama, man, she quit having babies. Yeah.
Inmates are gonna start writing me like, man, when worthy people came, they did this, and now I'm gonna call
man.
you out on it.
Hey,
Matter of
can
fact,
we
right
edit
now-
this part out?
Nah.
Can we edit this? Edit, cut.
Anything y'all seen, let us know.
Oh Lord.
Write us at Eyes on Me.
So episode 2 is them pressing me, and then episode 3 is us interviewing Austin about some things and pressing him on some things, and then 4 is 7, pressing him on some things, and then Brian some things as well. So that's the 5 we got. We're gonna start working on more episodes, but that's enough for the next 3.5 months of content.
Good
And we're
stuff.
excited about it, man. I'm very thankful to worthy people because we didn't go into it saying, hey, we got to get in the prisons. God happened to do that. And I know it took you being humble enough to say, hey, man, I'm going to do it,
Yeah.
And
And you didn't
So if
have
the
to.
first 5 episodes, if you're not saying anything, maybe moving forward with episodes, you can say, hey, shout out to y'all watching.
No, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to do the views expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views of worthy people.
Oh, disclaimer.
You're going to have to do a disclaimer.
These are
Man,
Tre9's people.
I'm excited.
God's-
I'm excited to see it. Of course, they know Seven's music.
Yeah.
Of course, Brian T. To be able to that conversation. Of course, they've always loved that in the music when we've gotten to share it. So man, so if you're watching this right now, your first episode, what's it called?
Something ain't right.
Something
Episode
Ain't Right.
1. Oh, what
Does it have a title?
Jessica.
Confronting Jessica on
Whiteout.
and Whiteout.
Yeah.
on modesty.
Confronting Jessica. That episode will be on your tablet next week.
On
So
women
if you're-
dressing provocatively.
You're watching this. We're gonna release their episode next week, so be on the lookout for that. Something ain't right, but man, just something is right that y'all are here today.
Yes.
And like I said, it's kingdom. We love to lock arms. We locked arms with 31 ministries in 2024, taking them into prisons, podcasts, all those type things. So that's what we're here for. So I look forward to maybe getting you into the prison
For sure.
in 2025.
I'd love
They
to.
ask all the time.
Now that we
"Man,
know
you
each
got
other."
you got a connection to Trey.
Yeah.
Nope, just his disciples that need discipling. No.
I needed to see that you could handle that first. And now I'm
Yeah.
ready to come. We're brothers and
Yeah, it's a whole episode we could talk about Jessica sneaking stuff out of prison.
Oh my God.
Banned.
Oh, no chaplain's gonna mess with us after this show.
Yeah.
No. So
Shout out to the Ramsey unit.
shout out to the Ramsey, who
We're
makes
sorry.
me do extra paperwork now.
We're sorry.
But hey, in all defense, did we ever say don't ever come in with
Never,
us again?
never.
No,
And I've never felt any type of negative vibes from you or
Yeah.
Julia.
that's
So
good.
I'm grateful.
Thank
Thank
y'all.
you.
I'm glad you included Julia because
Yeah.
sometimes she can be putting them vibes out, them negative vibes.
No, she was sweet. She was
She
super
wanted to
sweet.
be here today, but to welcome you guys. But man, well, thank y'all for coming. We're gonna close out with some music, so we can make sure this episode's an hour and a half. With Austin here, do you want to say anything about the music videos that we were gonna share of yours here at the end?
Oh, do you know which
Just to
ones
put
by
you on the
chance?
spot.
No, you tell them. You name it. GOP
whatever
or-
you send me. Send me 2-3 videos if
For
you
sure.
want to speak on that because they about to see it.
Let's go. So I did a music video and a single called GLP, which stands for God Level Peace. And it really is based off the story in the Bible where Jesus is on the boat with the disciples and the storm comes. They think they're going to die, but Jesus was actually sleeping at the time. And so I really was mind blown by the fact that this dude was sleeping during a life-threatening situation because of the peace that he had being connected to the Father. And that to me is a God-level peace that we all have access to through our relationship with the Father. And so
peace.
there's a song that says, I'm at peace like Jesus on the boat trying to sleep. I got GLP. And so that's kind of like the hook of that song. And yeah, it's just a fun, hype little vibe. So that song is GLP, and I'd love to show y'all that video. Hope y'all rock with that. And then I released another single called Fly Away, which talks a little bit about, how I've been traveling so much, catching all these flights, but still my heart is for the community in my home, of these kids that need to be exposed to a light. They need to see the hope outside of what they're seeing. Then I released a single called Wonder. I'm just going to give you 3. Wonder is about me questioning the motives of women that I'll come across and potentially pursue romantically, and wonder, does she love me for me? Does she love me?
And you have videos for all these all 3 videos?
The GLP has videos, but the other 3 just singles. So if you're looking for just the ones with the videos, then GLP would be the main one right now.
Okay, yeah, we can share the audio as well.
Okay, dope.
And can we get you on the record? You going to come into a prison with us this year?
Oh, I would love to, man. I would absolutely love to. So y'all listen to that music. So when I come in, I shouldn't even have to teach y'all the words, man. Y'all just know it.
And it'll freak you out because people will come in and they'll be like, I never been to this unit, but we've shared their music and they're like, man, they're singing every word of this thing back to me. Cool. So
let's go.
Represent us right, Austin.
Yeah, do right. Don't make us call Trey.
Don't make him call me.
Y'all gonna see me crowd surfing in the prison.
Yeah, leave your phone, your lighters, all your paraphernalia in the car. No,
don't take nothing out the prison.
And don't try to sneak.
Yeah, don't take nothing out the prison. Not saying any names.
Those of y'all in prison, y'all need to know you can't hand us pictures, numbers, and say, here, you can't do it. Don't put us in a vulnerable situation, or even our people that come to volunteer, because that we can't take nothing out. Yeah. And so some people going in prison, it's their first time. They don't know that.
We're green.
And they're like, oh, that's a great picture.
You don't want to be rude, be like, nah, I can't take that.
Yeah, you don't want to not show appreciation. Oh, I can't take the picture, So just be mindful of that, right?
Yeah, for sure. Don't exploit anybody that's coming in to see you. Get them to break the rules, but no. That's true. That's good. Well, we look forward to being able to have y'all again, sharing y'all's podcast. Y'all are ready for Something Ain't Right. I love your intro.
Thank you.
Something ain't right.
Yeah. Austin did that.
Let's get a freestyle.
Austin did that intro. He did that.
Oh, yeah.
That's him on there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So y'all check that out. Let us know, and we look forward to being able to, share that feedback with you as well. Thank y'all for coming today.
Thank
Our
you.
pleasure, man.
Okay.
It's a blessing.
God bless y'all.
I'm at peace. I'm at peace. About to fly overseas. I'ma be gone for a week. And I never did think I'd be on a yacht by the dock on the beach. Like this on the boat trying to sleep. I got GLP. But it came up, stay down. Hold up, it's H-Town, it's H-Town. It's 2 up, it's 2 down, it's 2 down. In the belly of the beast, I got GLP. God level peace. I just flew in from Las Vegas. I landed in Houston and drove to Atlanta. Put it straight to the studio, linked it with Mark and said we gon' make us an anthem. My life is a movie, but I ain't no actor, so I never change for the cameras. Shawty like me, she say that I'm handsome, but I ain't got time to romance her. I'm too busy hopping off stages and surfing on thousands of kids with their hands up. I've been living out Airbnbs and hotels, trying to fill up my bag like I'm Santa. With the squad, I've been plotting and planning, laying on top of the yacht like I'm tanning. I'm an alien, not from this planet. I just landed, but I'm coming in peace. In the belly of the beast, it was really getting wild in the east. Could've died in the streets, thank God made it out of the streets. Now I'm trying to change lives in the streets, and it's not just me. No, I got the whole fleet. So we throw up that ace, and we throw up that V. Hey. I'm at peace. I'ma be gone for a week. And I never did think I'd be on a yacht by the dock on the beach. Like this on the boat trying to sleep. I got GLP. They came up, stay down. Hold up, it's H-Town, it's 2 up, it's 2 down, in the belly of the beast. I got GLP, God level peace.
Shawty said she love my cross, it's so beautiful. I wonder would she love me with no jewelry though. She said that last song that you made was my favorite. Wonder would she love me with no music though. If I ain't had no money in the bank, no smile on my face, if the pressure had me wanting to give in, would you be by my side all the way, saying we gon' be okay, we gon' ride this thing out into the end? These are things I really wonder. 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 Yeah. Help me out, I need some answers. Help me out, I need some answers. Yeah. From these questions that I wonder. From these questions that I wonder. Yeah. I want a girl that love me for who I am, not for what I own. Smile with me in my highs, cry with me in my lows. Look at me the same way if my neck ain't had no stones, or if I ain't never put out any songs, if I never did these shows and travel across the world. Would you still get those butterflies when I call you my girl? If I can't get out of bed because I'm battling depression, would you cook me up some breakfast or just pack your bags and exit? I'm asking all these questions cause I really need some answers. Emotionally scarred, I swear my heart has been so damaged, but healing takes time, girl, I'm working trying to fix it. You wouldn't recognize the old me cause I'm so different. If I only had 100 followers and 20 likes on my pictures, would you still post about me on your Insta? I'm waiting for the one that's gonna really hold me down. This is everything I'm thinking right now. Shawty said she love my cross, it's so beautiful. I wonder would she love me with no jewelry though. She said that last song that you made was my favorite. Wonder would she love me with no music though. If I ain't had no money in the bank, no smile on my face, if the pressure had me wanting to give in, would you be by my side all the way, saying we gon' be okay, we gon' ride this thing out into the end? These are things I really wonder. 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 Yeah. Help me out, I need some answers. Help me out, I need some answers. Yeah. From these questions that I wonder. From these questions that I wonder. I swear I really can't believe it. Everything that I'm seeing, I've been living out what I was dreaming. Shout out to the ones I told that never did believe me. Now I'm killing stages, people screaming when they see me. Maybe when I fly away to a place 100,000 miles away. That's why I'm always on the road. Got no place to call my home. I'm just out here trying to find a way. They call me Austin, but you can find me down in Houston. Really at the bottom in the trenches in the sewage. Mama lost her son, family really going through it. Trying to show these youngins an alternative they're shooting. They just need hope. If we don't show them, they ain't gonna know that you can really take your dreams, be what you wanna be, stack though and travel all across the globe. They don't see the pain that I be feeling, all these demons coming for my soul, they don't wanna see me breathing. I seen the money in the fame make a lot of people change, same ones that say they love you end up I swear I really can't believe it. Everything that I'm seeing, I've been living out what I was dreaming. Shout out to the ones I told that never did believe me. Now I'm killing stages, people screaming when they see me. Maybe when I fly away to a place 100,000 miles away. That's why I'm always on the road. Got no place to call my home. I'm just out there trying to find a way. Maybe when I fly away to a place 100,000 miles away. That's why I'm always on the road. Got no place to call my home. I'm just out started trying to find a way.